Peace, good evening. Wanted to do a second video on this fine night regarding Joe Biden's trip to Maui. One thing I was reticent to cover was failures by the Biden presidency, but I think since things are riveting up, hot summer, this Maui disaster, my condolences go out to the people of Hawaii and Maui, but with the failure that has been Joe Biden since the inception of his presidency, or since the beginning of his presidency, I just want to start highlighting instances in which he's failing on a day-to-day basis. Or whenever I get a chance. But I figured it's 11 o'clock. I want to get another video in for the algorithm, so why not? But I did cover some of this in my last video regarding the Trump interview with Tucker Carlson that happened at the same time as the Republican debate that didn't include Trump. If you guys could check that video out as well. But in terms of what I wanted to talk about today is the reaction from Joe Biden and the Joe Biden crew, if you will, regarding this disaster that happened in Maui last week. Like I said in the other video, Joe Biden, when this disaster did happen, was in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, which, if you guys don't know, Rehoboth is kind of like the coastal area of Delaware. It's solely a vacation spot. People don't live there year round. From the times I've been there, and I've been there at least 5 times, maybe more than 5 times. I stayed in Bethany Beach, which is right off of Rehoboth, but that whole area, Bethany, South Bethany, Rehoboth, trying to think what other, Dewey Beach. I know the area really well. I know the area where a lot of the media does happen to catch Joe Biden, like biking and whatnot. I frequented those areas many times. I consider that one of my summer spots. The reason I haven't been going recently is because in the last year I bought a Rottweiler, and the place I used to go to doesn't allow big dogs, and my dog doesn't behave one iota. But having said that, when this Maui disaster did happen, if you guys don't know, Maui had a fire, a natural disaster. I don't know what you call it, because that place looks incinerated. It looks like a war zone, hell. Never seen a forest fire in which a town was leveled to that fashion, ever. But there were, at this current juncture, 114 people that are dead, almost 1,000 people missing. Hopefully some of the missing aren't missing any longer and are found to be safe. But regardless, the optics as far as destruction caused by the fire were terrible. But during that time, Joe Biden happened to be on vacation in the Rehoboth Beach area, which he goes to frequently. There was a stat that was put out a couple days ago, and it said that 40% of Joe Biden's presidency, he's been on vacation, which is hard to do. But nevertheless, that was the stat I read. But during this time in the Maui disaster, he was on vacation. He was asked if he had any comment regarding the forest fires, the natural disaster that happened in Maui. And first part of the optics that was bad about that was that he was asked while he was biking. He was on his bike and he stopped to take to give that comment. Or in the no, he was. I'm sorry. I'll check that. He was asked that question while he was biking and didn't respond. In another instance, while on the same vacation, when he was entering his vehicle, he was asked that question again if he had any comment regarding the Maui disaster, and he smiled and said no comment. which I think a lot of people took to be as callous when you're supposed to be the guy running the country. Um, Immediately didn't cease his vacation to go tend to Maui. He left from that vacation to go to another vacation in the home of a guy who's really invested into climate change combating, if you will. And he went to go stay at his house. Not sure what the guy's name is, but he went to stay in that guy's $18 million vacation home in Lake Tahoe, Nevada. A couple days after that, which was yesterday, Monday, is when he chose to finally go to Maui. When he landed in Maui, he was joking around and saying how hot the ground must be, like for the firefighters, referencing like their boots being hot because of the ground being hot. But he said it in a joking fashion. I mean, like, I guess you're trying to give brevity to a situation. But Joe Biden seems to be going through some sort of mental dilapidation and doesn't know how to read a room. But if that were somebody else that were making a comment like that, or in that situation, I mean, you could take that in a million bad ways. There's no very good ways that you could take joking in a situation like Maui when you finally do hit the ground out there. After people know that you were on vacation to only subsequently go on another vacation and then go to Maui. But you also had a speech that he made in which he compared the fact that he lost his wife and daughter in a car accident, and he knows the pain that the people of Maui were feeling. I mean, they're not comparable situations with the exception of the loss of life, but Joe Biden has a tendency of making things about him when he or to keep regurgitating the same stories over and over. And a lot of times the nature of the stories tend to change too. Like the next story, he said while it was in a another speech that he made in Maui, while in Maui. This was indoors. The first speech that he made was outdoors amongst the rubble of some burnt down houses, and that's when he mentioned the fact that his wife and daughter were lost in a car accident. He also had to be escorted off the stage. He looked lost, which, I mean, this is not a new phenomenon. You've seen this a lot during the Biden presidency where his mouth is agape. He's seemingly lost, falling over himself. He didn't fall this time, thankfully, but he was chauffeured around, if you will, by his wife, by some other guy that you never seen. He might be like a Hawaii official, asking him if he wanted to take a sip of water, and Biden seemed to be lost in the clouds. Later on, he had one of those Hawaiian luau, like flower things, when he gave his second speech, which was indoors, and he said that he knows, or he could, how he knows how he could relate to people losing their homes because he almost lost his home due to a lightning bolt striking something by his lake house, and that it lit a vent on fire, and that he almost lost his wife, his 67 Corvette, which he said while chuckling, and his cat. And he also, and to try to, like, so if anybody tries to paint this in another fashion as if he weren't joking, he actually said, well, all kidding aside, or something to that effect right after that. So he's trying to add, he's trying to make it into a jokey situation, if you will. But people are shitting on him about that little tidbit. There was also other people that spoke at that event while Joe Biden was seated in 1:31 second clip that I saw online, and I mean I went and back and like looked at the clip in its entirety, which was like 2 minutes, and it did seem like he was asleep for 31 seconds. His mouth was agape. He was looking down at the floor. You had some people that were trying to play coverage for him and saying that he was looking down in reverence to what the people who were speaking were saying, but that wasn't the case. It looked like he was knocked out. I mean, and you had these instances of Joe Biden falling asleep during speeches, and you had one of them here in Maui. But the Maui situation for Joe Biden was a outright disaster. I mean, it seemed like people on the ground weren't happy that he was there. It's and many of these situations that happen with Joe Biden, as far as public appearances go, as far as encounters with the media, it's perfectly manicured. Like you don't have a combative media in relation to Joe Biden at all, ever. I mean, you have instances where they've caught Joe Biden with a little bit of a cheat sheet with pictures of members of the media and questions that they're going to give him, and it's not like this can't be proven. You can look it up yourself. But you also actually see those media members that he has a picture of with the question that's next to their name, asking them the very question on the cheat sheet or the piece of paper. So every interaction that you have of Joe Biden on the media, which are very limited, I mean, that was just somebody who's on vacation 40% of his presidency. But even in these very limited interactions, these very manicured, closed setting interactions, Joe Biden has a tendency to fuck it up, if you will, and Maui was no difference. It was par for the course. In fact, the fact that he had that whatever you call those flower chains that Hawaiians wear made it look even worse. But let me know what you guys think. With that, I'm out. Peace.